evening, America. You are on TV with the USNN, and we are covering the presidential election live. Your thoughts, Jim?
Yes, Tim, it's a very exciting year. We got Trump as one of the leading candidates, along with Hillary Clinton. But right now it is looking like Clinton has it in the bag, so it should be a pretty easy win for her.
Should be an easy win. She's doing very, very well in the polls, and lots of people just hate Trump. So we should have the results coming in live pretty soon here. And it looks like the results are just in. Thank you. Here we have the results, and oh my goodness, it's Trump! I did not see that coming.
Oh my God! Alright, good morning, America. We have the USNN here today, and it's looking like after a 6-month-long trial and multiple recounts that Trump is becoming president. What are your thoughts, Jim?
It is very strange. It seemed like something should have come up in the recounts and investigations, but nothing did ever come out of the recounts, so we sadly had to let Trump go ahead with becoming president.
Yes, it is insane after all, but we have him as a president and we'll have to deal with it for the foreseeable future. And we're here at his inaugural address.
We have Jimmy out in the field covering the event.
Thanks, guys. We're here at Trump's inaugural address, and he's about to speak now. Let's go see what he has to say.
Hello, America! I'd like to say thank you all for voting me into office, but let's be honest here, there wasn't really any other competition, was there? But what I'd like to say is at the start of this term, it's out with the Mexicans and it's in with the tax cuts. Let's make America great again, okay? I'm thinking we cut the taxes for the rich people, we make everybody Republican, and we just make a perfect white race in America. We're gonna get rid of all the terrorists in our country, we're gonna bring back Second Amendment rights, and we're gonna be done with all this Obama nonsense we've had for the last couple of years, okay? And Hillary Clinton over there, she's got nothing on me. I'm way better than her. She's ugly. And we're gonna build a wall, and Mexico's gonna pay for it. I have lots of Mexican friends. I'm sure that I can get them to pay for it, okay? I have lots of friends. Everybody likes me. As I said before, if I could went out in the street and shot somebody, I wouldn't have even dropped in the polls. And China has been lying to us all along to try and get their production higher. Global warming, it was cooked up by the Chinese just so they could produce more than us. And we're going to combat that by ignoring our debt to them, and then we're going to make more than they can and produce more than they can and have a bigger military than we can. But we're going to accomplish this all with tax cuts. Okay? Let's make America great again. Thank you. Thank you, Jimmy, for covering the inaugural address. That was very helpful, and I hope that he can keep some of his promises that he's made. Now off to sports with Slim Fluffenhauser. So good morning, America. We are back again with the USNN, and we have some interesting new political stuff to discuss today. So Trump has begun work on his wall that he promised us at the beginning of his campaign. And also, as promised, he is trying to get the Mexicans to pay for it. Your thoughts, Jim?
Well, it is pretty American of him to want the Mexicans to pay for it.
Yes.
And it also goes along with his previous political statements about removing all Mexicans from America. And it's actually looking like he is going through with removing all the Mexicans.
Yes, he is, Jim. And it is looking very downhill for the Mexicans. He started off with a couple anti-immigration bills, and now he's moved right into going back to the days of the Jim Crow laws, but against Mexicans instead of black people. As Trump is saying, he's just trying to make America great again.
And we are now going to have a very nice wall. They've started construction in California, and it's going pretty well.
Going well. They plan to reach all the way over to the end of Texas in a few months.
Yeah, it's actually pretty impressive that Trump has actually managed to get most of Mexico to pay for it, though there is rioting everywhere in Mexico and in some American states. I don't think Hillary could have done as much.
So. No, there would definitely not be as much changes if we would have Hillary or Bernie in office in this day and age.
So it's looking like Trump is going through with the change. Problem is whether it's good change or not.
Yes, but the main reason that Trump has been able to pass all of this legislation is because we've had a primarily Republican-dominated Congress. So he's been using all of that support in Congress to be able to pass all of these bills that would have never been passed if Hillary had been elected or if we had some other Democratic president.
And it is very smart of him, Tim.
On that note, we have Jimmy out in the field at the construction of the wall to show you what's going on.
Hi, thanks, Jim. We're here on the scene of the first segment of the wall. They have built over 100 miles of this and they're still going strong. Now here we have a Mexican from south of the border that we picked up. Now what do you think of this wall?
I think it is very rude of them to be forcing my own people to build the wall, senor. You see, several of my sons have been forced to work on the project without any of their own desire to be working here. They would much rather be in America working for your jobs than stealing your money, senor.
So are your sons given any sort of payment for their work on the wall?
No, Mr. Trump says that the wall is for their own good, so they are not working for any pay.
That makes sense. Our Trump is a brilliant leader, so what do you think of him personally?
As a general consensus, us Mexicans think that Trump is a fat cow.
We can understand that, but now as we can all see, this wall is pretty beautiful and it is a great triumph for Trump. Back to you, Jim. Alright, so thanks, Jimmy. That is quite the wall that Trump's got there. Now off to sports with Slim Falek Kakaka. So good morning, America. Signing in with the USNN, we are covering live some of Trump's most recent political campaigns here. He is actually deported every Mexican and Islamic follower. What's your thought, Tim?
We didn't think he could do it. He had promised to remove all threat of ISIS and remove all Mexicans that were working illegally, but we thought that he did just not have the power to do it. But here we are sitting here today in a Mexican Islamic free country. Who would have guessed it?
It is actually beautiful. I have seen no terrorism in the streets since it's happened.
I hadn't seen any before either.
Well, you gotta look at that, but it
Trump
has
been
happened.
fulfilling his promises.
That's true. He has followed through with every one of his promises. He's gotten the wall built.
The wall is
and
finished.
there has been no Mexican immigration.
This is true. This is very true. And the United States is becoming a very dominant world power over Mexico in terms of industry and production, as we are now actually employing all of our people instead of selling out the jobs to Mexicans who work for less.
That is true. And he has been tackling the debt crisis quite nicely. And most of our industries have risen up on the global production.
We've had a 20% increase in our GDP this year compared to China's only 2% increase, which is very good as we are competing on a national level.
However, inflation does seem to be on the rise. It's gone up to 10%, which is a record high in recent years. And people are beginning to become concerned in that matter. Well, we'll see what he does, but I believe that he will get something done. Signing off of the USNN political segment for today.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Good morning, America. I'm here with USNN News, and so is Jim, my partner here, and we are discussing some new interesting developments in our economy that has been caused by Trump's policies. All of his policies have caused a lot of inflation that have led to a significant economic downturn, and we are now experiencing quite a large depression in the general American public. Your thoughts on this, Jim?
Yes, Tim, it's a very serious matter. The stock market has taken a complete crash. The Nasdaq is now only at 1,000 points and it is steadily dropping. Inflation has skyrocketed to 120% and unemployment has reached 30%, which is unbelievably high.
Yes, this is all very, very bad stuff, and Trump does not really seem to have any original ideas in how to solve it. His actually main idea at this point is to get us involved in more foreign affairs in military styles so that we can boost our economy through the production of weapons in a fashion of World War I or II, pulling us out of those economic downturns.
So yes, Tim, he has started fighting immediately, and he's actually started it by nuking ISIS.
Yes, he has, Jim. And he actually has been nuking mainly civilian targets, which is a very, very bizarre method of warfare because most of NATO's laws do not allow for this.
Trump does look pretty radical from the outside. Yeah, so Trump may actually get his World War III that he's been wanting. Russia has started mobilizing troops and preparing counter-missiles in the case of nuclear war. Now, it is going on Trump's second term, but he has managed to keep things rolling and ramp up wartime production, and it is looking like war is very imminent.
But also on the positive side of this may help to pull us out of the economic downturn that we are having. In the past, several wars have pulled us out of this economic depression, like World War II out of the Great Depression and World War I out of the depression before it. So this may actually help to stimulate our economy and pull us out of this problem that we're having.
Yes, and this depression is very serious. I've had 2 children die of starvation this month, though I still have 6 more, so it is okay.
To show the negative signs of this economic downturn, we have Kimmy out in the field interviewing some civilians.
Hi, thanks, Jim. We're here today with the former CEO of Google, Mr. Pichette. Now, it's my understanding now that you're homeless. How did that come to be?
Well, with all these policies Trump's been passing, it's kind of made it so there's no money in the system, and any money that there is way too inflated to use. So, pretty much nobody has any money, and if nobody has any money, nobody goes on the internet, so Google kind of really went downhill in a hurry.
So, because of inflation, how much does food actually cost?
The other day I managed to get a pack of ramen from our local store, and it cost me $112.
Now, ramen used to be 25 cents at any convenience store. That is a lot of inflation, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, yes it is, and especially food products, since everybody needs them, are very, very inflated these days.
Well, there you go. From the former CEO of Google himself, Mr. Pichette, life sucks. Back to you, Jim.
So thank you, Kimmy. That was very enlightening on homeless people. Now after sports with Slim Lilla.
Good morning, America. We are here with the USNN News Network, and we are covering the most important politics of today. Jim, what do we have today?
Yes, Tim, it is official. World War III has started. Allegedly, Putin refused Trump a friend request on Facebook and nukes. That's how it always goes.
That's how it goes when you have Trump in office. Many of Trump's companies have become very, very prosperous in this wartime effort because they have all begun producing wartime materials such as tanks and armaments and bombs, all of that nonsense.
Yes, all of Trump's companies have started to increase exponentially, leading the edge of wartime production and just all production. Trump has been cutting down on all other businesses while in office, and it's really starting to take effect. 90% of all jobs in America are now for Trump.
Yes, Trump is employing many, many people.
He's also firing many people.
That is a problem because Trump has a nasty, nasty habit of just firing lots of people.
So, Trump has started off by nuking Russia, of course, as you do. We're America, so we do what we want. He has also begun the invasion of Mexico, and as he moves down Mexico's poorly defended borders, despite their wall, he has begun drafting all eligible male men.
And this has helped a lot in the war effort because there are plenty of people in Mexico, and Trump has just been sending them to the front lines as cannon fodder, which is a very interesting tactic. Not many people have tried it before.
He has also started a front, strangely enough, in Chile, which I guess he just likes the mountains for skiing. That was his reason.
Yes, he is a very, very strange man, Mr. Trump. But the problem is, just yesterday he passed a new piece of legislation through Congress that said that the presidency cannot be changed during wartime crises. So we are coming to the end of his second term now, but we will not be able to remove Trump from office because it is a wartime effort right now.
Oil prices have also begun skyrocketing, unfortunately, because of the nuking of ISIS.
And now off to sports with Slim Fleekenhauser.
Good morning, America. We're here on the USNN, and we got breaking news on civil rights issues. Tim?
So since Trump has passed his 38th Amendment that no presidency or office can be changed during wartime crises, we naturally have been in perpetual war. So Trump's secret police have been slang named the Angry Canadians by many US citizens because he has recruited all of these police from neighboring countries and none of them are American citizens. And which seems to be going strongly against his previous morals of all non-American people are bad.
Well, he has segregated most of the countries that he's taken over and creating all-white communities, which is kind of hard when you're in Mexico and stuff.
Yes.
He has created large concentration camps and multiple forced death marches.
Yes, he has. And he has passed an obscene amount of anti-civil rights legislation, now limiting the freedom of speech when talking about government officials, the freedom of the press. He's actually placed restrictions on newsrooms, which we are really going to start to feel pretty soon. And Trump has made a new law that limits the minimum wage for women. And because of inflation, minimum wage for men is now $200 an hour, and it is only $95 an hour for women.
Yes, it is an extremely serious crisis we're in. Luckily, there are still semblance of freedom of speech because he has not managed to completely get rid of the Declaration of Independence. He's only gotten 9 out of the 10 bills of the Bill of Rights.
But he is trying very, very hard. You can believe it.
But we are still safe for now. He has also made it illegal to be gay, which is a huge setback for many civil rights legislation. And the punishment is either castration or life in prison. You can choose, which is very considerate of him.
But also World War III is drawing to a close, and the US has pretty much won everything. We own all of South America, all of Africa here, all of Europe pretty much. Australia gave in pretty quickly.
Surprisingly, Greenland has resisted, though.
Greenland is showing extreme resistance. And
Probably the
Russia,
Scandinavian background.
Russia is one of the last remaining countries that is free, although we have it on good authority that Russia is planning on moving to Mars to escape this crisis.
Kind of a strange way out of the situation, but it is thinking. Trump has not yet announced what he is planning to do about Russia's moving to Mars, but we are sure that he will destroy them.
Almost certainly. Imminent destruction for Russia. I am sorry for your people.
Yes, but on good news, our economy has recovered completely in the United States.
Yes.
The rest of the world is like shambles, though.
It is. Especially down here in Nambia. They're really
Nambia
hit
is
hard.
really bad right now.
Yes.
There are 2 survivors.
2.
Well, Tim, we better get off to sports and let Slim Falakadoodle Scooter have it.
Yes. After you, Slim. Good morning, America. You're here with the USNN, and we have some very interesting news to discuss with you today. Jim?
It's the Hunger Games, folks. Tim.
It is pretty legitimately the Hunger Games. The world has been split up into districts. Russia has fled to Mars, so it's pretty much just an empty land of snow and ice.
And it is interesting. Mars is doing very well. And Trump hasn't actually said what he's going to do about it, so we're all waiting.
And so all of the country is divided up into districts, and just like in the classic novel of several years ago,
The Hunger Games.
yes, the Hunger Games, every district of the United States must put up 2 children who fight to the death in a terrible bloody battle in Washington, D.C. But the U.S. public is loving it. They tune in every night. The ratings are just through the roof. It's one of the best shows we've had in many years.
It's true, they have a new Hunger Games each week. And there are 1 million districts with 2 children from each, so it is very impressive sight.
Lots of death of children.
Full-scale battles every day. It is one of Trump's main population control strategies.
And it is doing a fairly decent job of controlling the population. Because since our population has been well over 10 billion for the last few years, he's been narrowing it down every year, trying to get it back to a nice 5 billion where we can comfortably live on this earth.
Yes, and the Hunger Games looks to be doing that. With 2 million deaths a week, it is really cutting through our population.
It is indeed, Jim. And last week on the Hunger Games, we had a very, very interesting turn of events. The person that I was rooting for, Timmy, he was doing very, very well, but then he just got hit right in the back with an arrow by Bob, of all people. I mean, who was expecting Bob to win? Your thoughts, Jim?
Well, it is kind of surprising that Bob won, considering his lack of hand and using a bow to kill him. But he did it.
He did it.
So Tim, my favorite episode of the Hunger Games was when the careers were first introduced. Now these people were training since they were born, pretty much. And yeah, this was the first episode that they were introduced, and they slaughtered everybody. There was 100 of them, and they caused like 90% of the deaths, which is impressive. With
Very
2
quickly,
million
too.
people. Yes. Since all the other children didn't really have fighting capabilities, they had a solid alliance, and they managed to slaughter everyone.
Yes. It was very, very tragic to just see all of those children being slaughtered by fighting machines.
It's true. The careers use Roman-style phalanx fighting at first, but when there was only a few of them left, they went off on their own and killed each other, which was very fun. My favorite character, by my own name, happenstance of Jim, won.
Yes, it was a very, very good episode. Lots of bloodshed, which is what America loves these days.
True, and the careers since then has kept up a good reputation, but they have gone downhill slightly because people have been prepared for it now.
This is true. They no longer have the element of surprise on their hands.
Yes, been quite a few years since the Hunger Games have been going on. Trump is over 120.
Yes.
He uses children's hearts to stay alive.
Okay, good morning, America. You're just in with USN News, and we have some very interesting news to discuss. Trump has decided to nuke all of Mars since Russia has fled there after World War III, so all Russians are now dead, and he has become that much closer to his perfect race of white Christian Americans.
Yes, Mars now looks normal, pretty much. It was looking fairly like Earth at this point, but...
It's back to just red dust.
Yes.
I know, I'm just getting in. All freedom of speech has been revoked, and there will be raids on all public buildings not supporting Trump. Oh my goodness, Ron!
Well, then,
You want free speech? Speak into the